What's going on, everybody? It's Carmine from Barmine Tech, and today we're going to be covering a bit of a different topic. We're going to be going over how to start a home lab. So it's kind of a weird point with tech right now between the cost of getting equipment and all the different options. So I figured why not go along and make a video about how to get into a home lab, what hardware to kind of look for, how to decide what you want to do. And I made a write-up along with this with a bunch of different resources, so if you want to look a little further into it. Of course, this is just my thoughts on it. This isn't the end all, this isn't the ultimate solution. There might be way better solutions out here, but this is just some of the stuff that I've gathered in the time that I've been doing this and all the research that I've done. Enough of that. Let's go over to the write-up, and we'll go along some of the points to build out a home lab. So like I said, I made this write-up yesterday, and it's just a brief overview on how to start a home lab in 2025. There are a lot of different factors currently, especially depending on where you are. If you're in the US, we have tariffs and inflation, and the costs of everything have skyrocketed. I mean, pretty much buying hardware that was pretty affordable a couple years ago is very expensive again. There are a ton of different costs, such as the operational cost of a home lab and everything else that goes along with it. So in this write-up, we're going to kind of talk about all that into pieces and kind of have a base point to how we want to start a home lab. Again, like I said, these are just my thoughts on it. You might have different opinions, or there might be other information out there that shows different options. That's fine. This is just what I've gathered in my home lab experience. So like the first part of having a home lab is like, what do you want to do? Do you want to have a test environment to build out machines and test systems and break them and see what works in what way? Do you want to have a function in home lab that hosts services that you and maybe other people are going to use? Do you need a lot of storage? Do you need a little storage? Do you need a graphics card? Do you need AI? You have to have an idea of what you're looking to do before you start choosing hardware and building systems. Because if you start building systems before you have an idea of what you want to do, you might not buy enough of hardware, or you might buy too much, and now you might have cut out budget for other areas of your home lab that are now not going to get it because you spent it somewhere else that you didn't really need it. Personally, when I built my first server, I was really excited. I did do a lot of research into it, trying to pick out what hardware was what, and I still ended up blowing way more money than I should have, and I really didn't build that good of a server. It worked really well for my needs, but operationally, it was really high, and it just wasn't the best what I could have spent my money on. So like I was mentioning, these first couple of points over here are going to be how we get started off. Like, what's your budget, and what's your budget to run the server? You may live with your parents, you might live with somebody else that pays the utilities or whatever, or maybe you do, and you don't want to have to raise your electric bill, because some of these machines can really eat up a lot of electricity. So if you're trying to build out a home lab that's going to be energy efficient or have a low electricity usage, that's very doable. You just need to spend some time finding the hardware that works best for you. So the first part is definitely going to be make sure that you know your budget. Like I was saying, some of these budget factors are going to be electricity, internet, the cost of your actual equipment, like your actual servers, the PCs, hardware, stuff like that. Software, if you need it. Not all software for HomeLab is free. There is a lot of free software for HomeLab, but maybe if you want to use something like Unraid, it does have a license. And then backup equipment, because who knows what might happen. You might have drives die, you might have a power supply die, you might have a whole server go down. You never know, so you might need to factor in to have backup equipment, because if something does happen, how are you going to fix it? If you run a mission critical service, let's say you're running a VPN that's really important, and the drive that the VPN lives on died. Now you're stuck in the water because you have no backup equipment to replicate it over to. So keep that into account, especially depending on what you're buying. If you're buying like used equipment or used drives, having a couple extra isn't a bad idea in case one does die. So here was the topic of what do you want to do, and this was something I hit on a little bit before, but you kind of really have to have an idea of what you might want to do with your home lab. Like I was saying before, do you want to build an environment where you're just going to keep testing systems and see how they work together and break and see what goes from there? Or do you want to have more of a functioning home lab where you have machines that do services for you, or maybe host a media server, storage server, whatever it might be? This is going to affect the hardware and servers that you need. So you might not need the same hardware if you want to have a simple test server versus you want a server with a ton of storage or a media server and processing power for it. So these are just things to keep in mind when you're speccing out the hardware for your home lab. For example, if you're going to build out a media server, you probably want larger hard drives versus NVMe's or SSDs. Of course, depends on your budget. If I'm building a test environment where I want to see how systems work together, I probably don't need the largest amount of storage, and I can get away with buying some NVMe's or SSD drives. If you're trying to come up with some project ideas for your server, potentially, I have a link over here, and it goes to a bunch of my Proxmox projects that I've done on the channel, and you can kind of take a peek through here and you can see all the different stuff that I've built. And for the most part, everything's going to include resources and how to build in Proxmox, so you can kind of have a rough idea of some of the things you can do in Proxmox or on a home lab. Now, don't get me wrong, Proxmox is a great system, but it's not the only one out there. There are other hypervisors, there's other systems that allow you to virtualize and make containers and stuff like that. Proxmox is just the focus because it's what I run, it's free, and it works really well for my uses. So that's why the majority of the content in my videos and on the write-up are going to be Proxmox based. Just want to put that little disclaimer out there. So now that we kind of covered more of the what do you want your home lab to do, now we can come over to what should you run in your home lab. This is where we can get into a lot of different options, right? So we can go out and we can run a old Dell server or an HP server that are huge. They have a lot of cores, a ton of memory, they have a lot of processing power and can do a lot for us, but they're going to be loud, suck up a lot of energy, and put off a lot of heat. This ties back into the operational costs that now I need a higher power bill, I need to offset the heat, and I need to do something about the noise. Those servers can probably be found on eBay or Marketplace or even locally on maybe Craigslist or something for probably $100 or less, depending on the model. But you could also get a mini PC or a regular PC for the same price that now has almost the same computing power to it. We've had a really large development in processors and other hardware for PCs, and now you can get a mini PC that is almost as powerful, if not more powerful, than a Dell server that you might be able to find used. And instead of using 150 watts or more, we could probably get the idle power usage down to 10 to 50. Not saying that a mini PC is the only option, but it's a really good option, especially if you want to kind of dip your feet into HomeLabbing and give it a try before you buy a lot of expensive equipment. One site that I've come across was Low Cost Mini PCs, and it actually is something I've used in the past, and it works really well because you can come over here and you can filter out all the different options for what you might be looking for, and it'll bring you right over to a website to buy from. You can filter by countries and all these different options, and then you can come over here and it'll give you an eBay listing to match up what you're looking for. So really, depending on what you're looking for, you could start a home lab for $50. And fun fact, that's actually what the Barmine Tech server that I based the majority of my projects off of on this channel was, a little HP mini PC that I got for about $50 that I took a chance for to see if it would be worth it to use for the channel. The PC is not the most powerful, but it definitely was a really good starter PC to do a lot of the beginner projects that we worked on, and it works. And then I was able to see we can grow into more hardware. It's really exciting when you want to start building a home lab and you start seeing cheap servers like a Dell 560 or whatever they are. I'm not good at old models. And you start seeing them really cheap, and you could be like, ooh, I could have a dual socket, terabyte and a half of memory, and 8 hard drives, whatever it might be. And then you don't think of the cost of running it because you saw the price tag of $75. It looks like a great option, but in the long run, that server is going to cost, I don't know, let's say 5 times the energy usage to power it. That server might cost you 5 times what you paid for it just to run it for, who knows, maybe half a year. So it's stuff like this that I kind of keep in mind when I'm building out different systems for my home lab. And lately, I've really been focused on the energy usage because energy is not cheap. And if I can find ways to lower costs, it really pays off. Now, maybe power isn't a concern for you. Maybe, you don't have operational costs. And over here at the HomeLab subreddit, they actually have a really good write-up about buying hardware. So they're going to go more into buying actual servers. And you can really read through here and you can kind of make up your own decisions based on what they're providing. I believe that this is pretty updated. I know when I was reading through this originally, they did update this pretty recently. This isn't a project that I'm related to, so I don't want anybody to think like, oh, this is me. It's not. This is just a resource that I found. So unfortunately, it looks like it hasn't been updated in about 2 years. They have it down here at the bottom. But a lot of this hardware is still going to be really relevant, as this is what you're going to see sites like eBay and everything else flooded with. If you want a little more information than just buying hardware, I actually put a link to their entire wiki, and it's going to have a guide to a lot of different stuff, such as software, buying guide, networking stuff, tutorials. I mean a ton of different stuff in here. Just keep in mind that some of this might not be currently up to date. So some of the stuff they mention, like ESXi, might not be free anymore. So just keep that in mind as you read through this. Like I was saying before, I run the Barmine Tech server on a mini HP PC. I actually run my main mini lab server on another HP PC, and it's a HD Elite desk, I think. It's a little bit beefier of a system. I put the little upgrades into it, but I think at idle it uses like 10 watts of power. It just sits in my little rack, and I don't really have a problem with it. When I compare it to my old server, it's quiet. It uses a tenth of the power. Sometimes I hear the fans spin up, I won't lie, but compared to my old tower server that I built, it's significantly better. It's not as powerful because I don't have all the additional resources, but I can cluster it going forward if I want, and for the cost and the operational cost, it's significantly better. This was all stuff that I had to keep in mind when I started to upgrade my server and make new decisions of what I want to do. Other than the wikis, there is another tool that I found, or somebody shared in my Discord, I don't remember, that you can use to find hard drives. So this is another site that scrapes hard drives deals, so you can go, I believe, right off of eBay, it looks like, and you can find postings for affordable hard drives, or maybe something better than you're looking for. This is a good tool if you want to check out trying to save the budget on buying equipment. The next option is really going to be a big one, and it's what software do we want to use. Now, this is going to come back to what do you want your home lab to do. Do you want it to be a virtualizer, or do you need more of a storage with some containers and some stuff running off of it? The most common one found is going to be Proxmox, and this is going to be because recently, about 6 to 8 months ago, I'll say, Broadcom brought out ESXi or VMware, and they no longer have the community edition. This was a very popular software in the community, and since they no longer have a community-free license, there's been a large migration to Proxmox. Proxmox is a great system. It's what I base pretty much all of my server videos off of on my channel. It's pretty user-friendly after you spend some time to learn about it, and it's free. They have a few different products. They have a mail server, a backup server, and a virtual environment we can see over here. And it works really well. It works with a lot of different systems. I'm very pro Proxmox. It's just the system that I've used since the beginning. It's very easy to find support or answers to questions or whatever it might be because it's very popular among the community. Maybe you don't need a dedicated virtualizer. You're more looking for storage and then to run some stuff off of it. And if you're looking to do that, there are some good options like truenas, Open Media Vault. There's also Unraid I didn't mention, but Unraid is not free. It does have a license. There's a new operating system that I found, HexOS. That's another one that has a license fee to it. I more covered some of the free options in this chapter over here. I've made videos on TrueNAS and Open Media Vault, and if you're interested in checking out, there is a link to all the NAS videos that I've made. Maybe you do want to run TrueNAS or Open Media Vault, but you also want to run Proxmox. That is doable. You can run Proxmox as a base system and then virtualize TrueNAS or Open Media Vault or another one of these NAS softwares on top of it. I have videos on it in that playlist, and if other people do as well. You can kind of pass through the hard drives straight to Open Media Vault or TrueNAS and anything else, and you can run the NAS off of your Proxmox environment. I actually did this in the beginning when I started my home lab. It worked really well, and that's how I ran the storage for my Plex server. So we're kind of wrapping this all up, and it's going to be a kind of now what? Now what's going to be coming to decide what you want to do, what hardware you want to run, what projects you want to do, what services you want to run, and kind of plan it all out before you start buying all of your hardware and building systems. I have another tag over here for Proxmox projects that go along with setting up Proxmox, Proxmox backup server, and a ton of projects that go along with it. This isn't going to be everything for homelabbing. This is just what I've worked on, and here's just some more info about it if you want to read through. Now, this is not everything about homelabbing. This is just going to be a brief overview if you're looking to start up. I'm just trying to give a guide on some of the stuff that I wish I knew in the beginning when I started buying hardware and started building my home lab, because life would have been so much easier. I wasted a lot of money on hardware that either I didn't need, didn't work the way I did, or just because I wanted to buy more hardware, and now I have a pile of stuff that doesn't get used anymore. Taking some time to research into your hardware, your software, things you want to do, and having a base idea before you start building out your actual home lab server is really important, and I hope this guide will help at least one person in starting their home lab journey. I want to thank you all for watching. I know this is a bit of a different video. I'm just kind of in between topics, and this has been a really busy week, so I want to get out some sort of quality content for the channel. I want to thank you all for watching. As always, I have links to everything down below I use in my home lab. I have a link to the Discord server if you want to join up. Again, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and as my buddy Don would say, hack till it hurts.